I would like to present to you the introduction of my new book, which is number 270 number, and I keep writing it, and now I'm dictating it because apparently I cannot stop. This is called obsession, but this is what there is. And since the definition of an obsession is something which you cannot fight, so I'm trying to succumb to my seduction, so I cannot, and I wouldn't, and I shouldn't get into excessive conflicts. Hence, this is more or less the prolegomenon of what I think I shall be saying in this volume. Although there is no way to predict what actually is going to happen, even if I have dictated or taped this introduction, because you know, like a war, you know how you start it, you never know how you end it. So this is it. Actually, writing a book is a war. You are fighting with yourself mostly. You're fighting with the material. You're fighting with your audience. Now it's the first time I have a living audience of my dear disciple and friend for many years, and it gives me great pleasure to talk to him about my new book. But this is the first time I'm experimenting with this kind of thing. Anyhow, this book, I'm trying to see the relationship of mythology, history, drama, religion, and philosophy in the Axial Age of the Mediterranean. What is the Axial Age? It is a very interesting phenomenon which not many people are familiar about it, and the scholars are not really in agreement to its causes and even its nature. The Axial Age in the Mediterranean started in the beginning of the first millennium BC. More or less, some say it's 800 years BC, and some say it's earlier or later with 1 or 2 centuries, and stretching until the beginning of our era. So what happened actually in this Axial Age is agreed that great upheavals, cultural, historical, philosophical, happened. Just to mention the whole vista of Greek drama, which is a fantastic upheaval, actually a revolutionary upheaval of creativity, of such colossal figures like Aeschylus and Sophocles, and the greatest of them all, which is, I'm almost sure that in this case right now, there'll be few people who would argue with me that he is the most towering figure, Euripides, of Greek drama. Although he was not regarded as such in his lifetime. The philosophy of the pre-Socratics, Heraclitus, Parmenides, Protagoras, all those fantastic, brilliant people that we don't have their writings, only fragments. But according to the fragments, for instance, Democritus discovered the atoms. We have Protagoras that said man is the measure of all things. In other words, he actually was the first to think about the anthropic principle. That is the principle that the relationship between man and the cosmic knowledge, the cosmic consciousness is very important, actually crucial, in the development of the world. This is Protagoras. We have Pythagoras with his fantastic innovations in mathematics and mystical religion. Incredible. And these are all the great sages of the pre-Socratic Greek philosophers that we have only their fragments, and yet they are so illuminating. We have Moses, the Mosaic religion, the fantastic religion of Moses. Actually, we don't know if Moses existed or not. He was certainly an Egyptian prince. In all probabilities fathered by Echnaten, the Emanhotep IV, something like in the middle of the second millennium. But then we don't know the actual dates of Moses, if he existed or not. But the Mosaic religion, with the abstraction of the synchronic existence of an infinite God, this is an epoch-making revelation, innovation of the Mosaic religion, which is in force up to this very day, for better or for worse. When all the other religions of the Middle East either disappeared or are tottering, or they are related to one in one way or the other, like Christianity and Islam, to Judaism. What it means is that we are here encountered by revolutionary upheavals in religion and culture. Christianity, same thing. The first century of our era is a kind of a conglomeration, a kind not of dialectics, but of complementarity between Hellenistic creeds and Judaic creeds. And then we have Christianity, which by a certain chance was adopted by Constantine in the beginning of the 4th century, because by chance he won the battle with Maxentius. He should have lost it. But then a certain centurion came over to him and said, Ave Caesar, listen, we know it's the last night of our existence. In all probabilities, we wouldn't be here by next morning. Well, what have you got to lose? I'm a centurion, and my prophet is Jesus Christ, born in Nazareth and crucified by the Romans, some say by the Jews. And pray to him, what do you have to lose? Here, have a nice swig of Illyrian wine. It's actually, this is what it was said in folklore, not in actual history. And he was drinking the Illyrian wine, and when he was really drunk, Constantine raises his head, and because of the good Illyrian wine that actually should have gone to his head by then, he saw in the heavens the image of Jesus Christ with a caption, Agnus Dei Triumphalis, in hoc vinces. Here is the Lamb of God, triumphant Lamb of God. In this, you're going to win. That was the caption, fiery caption, directed to Constantine. And he won against all odds. He won the battle against Maxentius. And he announced the Christian creed to be the official creed of the Roman Empire. Is it a miracle? Might be. But this is irrelevant. What is irrelevant is that these great events of the Axial Age change the history of humanity. They initiated the greatest waves of new religions. They initiated the understanding of new ideas in history, religion, art, drama. everything of importance was initiated in the Middle East, at least, in this Axial Age. How did it happen? As I said before, we don't know. We only have hypotheses. We only have ideas. These things are subject to revelations, not to exact sciences at that early stage. But there certainly was an Axial Age, and there certainly was this upheaval in culture, art, and religion. Now let us start with the Greeks, because also chronologically the Axial Age started quite at the time that the pre-Socratics started their upheaval. Greek drama with the great Euripides, it's the 5th century. All the 92 plays that he has written, only something like 15 are extant, and some of the greatest, like Iphigenia in Aulis, Iphigenia in Tauris, Heracles, Bacchae, are being played until this very day. This is something like 2.5 millennium after Aristophanes predicted the total extinction of that dilettante. This is how he called Euripides. I think many people see Euripides today, then they see Aristophanes. He is just, today he is rejected or dismissed as a misnomer, as a kind of a clown. Euripides is recognized to be one of the leaders of world drama. And what is world drama? What is tragedy? Tragedy is the triumph of suffering, of evil, in a world that is meant to be good, and it is not. And Euripides was, if you want, the first iconoclast, the first rebel, the first fighter for the truth. It is not by chance that Socrates was a very close friend of Euripides. Mind you, Socrates would go walking to attend the plays of Euripides staged in Athens, in Piraeus, in the port, because he believed that Euripides is very important for the understanding of human nature, of human culture. And Socrates believed that what he was doing to defend the truth. And he actually sacrificed himself for his inner truth. So did Euripides do for the authenticity of Greek drama. Now, the plot in Greece is called mythos. It's not by chance. The plot of the drama is a mythos. Now, mind you, mythos here is not a lie. It's not a legend. It is a fact of life which unifies between nature and culture. For Euripides, the mythos is not just the plot. It is the inner truth that man allows to dominate his thinking, his wish, and also to influence his free will, because Euripides believed in the freedom of the will. And only when the writer of drama himself has the freedom of the will, then his achievement is sublime. And in this way, the myth is also the sublimation of the evil thinking, the evil wishes into something sublime and divine. This transformation, which is very much on the lines of the Freudian transformation of the id, the vile passions, and are being channeled into the drama of human suffering, which, in a sense, at the end, is both theodikea and justification of human suffering. If you look at Iphigenia, in Agamemnon, this monologue is probably the most earth-shaking, the most shattering piece of drama ever written. Iphigenia pleads to her father Agamemnon, "Why do you want to sacrifice me? For what? For Helen? She actually used very hard language, which we could transform into the harlot. The harlot. Everybody knows her love affairs and her flimsy kind of life. People say that she actually was not abducted. She went willingly with Paris. But I'm your daughter. I'm the first who played with your beard. I want to carry on living. I want to see the sun. I want to be married to Achilles, whom people say he is a wonderful person. You yourself, you have destined him to be my husband. And now you want to kill me for whom? For Helen. Who is Helen compared to me, your daughter? Don't you see the absurd of all this venture? All right, they tell me you are going to win the Battle of Troy. What is the Battle of Troy and to lose your daughter, your beloved? There is nothing in world drama, something so shattering, something so authentic, something so true as this monologue. And yet, what is it finished?
No.
And yet, where is the justification of this kind of sacrifice? There is none. And the force of this kind of conclusion in the Agamemnon is so great and so basic and so earth-shattering and so rebellious, but I, Euripides, am telling you, there is no justified sacrifice for the winning of something of gain. Because if you sacrifice a child, you are losing everything. And by gaining a battle or gaining fame, you are losing nothing. It is a deceitful exchange which is not worth it. And all drama, all poetry, starting from Wilfred Owen in the First World War to the latest of the poetry countering all the patriotic justification of present injustice and war is being attacked in a most forceful manner by Euripides in this towering piece of drama. אתה רוצה להפסיק פה?
נמשיך.
כמה יש לנו?
יש לנו עוד חצי שעה.
Okay. If we move forward to the Axial Age of Judaism, which indeed is quite linked to Hellenism. There is something which can be related even in the language even if what we are going to say, because there is the kind of link between Greece and Judaism by all kinds of races, like the Phoenicians all over the Mediterranean peddled the Greek ideas and the Judaic ideas because they were Semites. And they have adopted the Judaic ideas and then peddled over to the Greeks. There were fantastic differences in the Greek and Judaic Weltanschauung, but there were also very great similarities. And the similarities are related to the philosophical notions of truth and the notion of relationship within time. Because for Judaism, the relationship with being is outside time, outside past and present. It's within the continuous, outside past and future. It is within the continuous present, the synchronic present. Whereas with the Greeks, there is the future, like Prometheus, the forethinker, who brought fire to humanity, but also the atom bomb, but also war, but also gunpowder, and Epimetheus, the hind thinker, the pessimistic, if you wish, melancholic staircase philosopher. Why didn't I laugh at the boss's jokes? He would have raised my salary. Why didn't I smile at my beloved when she threw me out of her abode? She might have agreed to see me at least another time, maybe. No. There is the judgment of time. With the Greeks, it is deterministic ananke coercion. You're being coerced. With the Jews, it's the liberation from the fetters of time and the liberation through revelation, which is the kind of revelation through belief, whereas the Greeks, their revelation is through beauty. And this is the fantastic contrast within the Axial Age between the beauty and the belief, the Greeks and the Jews. And yet, there is something extremely important and relevant. There are two sculptures. They are called the Bronzi di Riace. They are the only sculptures rescued near Riace, which is near Reggio Calabria. The only two sculptures made by Phidias in the original colors, in the original material, superb. However, one is a warrior. His self-worth is by his beauty. He's proud to be beautiful. And this is his hubris. There is the other one. Who is the philosopher? He's not ugly, but he's stooped. He knows the limits of his power. He is a Platonist. Plato is very much Jewish. He is monotheistic. He is an abstract thinker. He believes in unity, and he tried to relate his philosophy in Syracuse. He failed an abysmal failure because he also was a Hebraic. He also had a kind of hubris in him because he thought that he can relate his ideas to history. It didn't work out. And both of them, in a sense, the philosopher king and the warrior king, are failures because they were Hebraics. One was too enamored with his beauty, the other was too obsessed by his ideas. And both have been cautioned and actually overpowered by the powers of history, which are rejected by the Jews. And in a sense, their total rejection of history is also a vindication of their hubris. So, yeah, fellow.